So, talking about your panel tomorrow, what are the type of information you want people to walk away with?
So I'm on a panel tomorrow about racism on YouTube, and I think, the main thing that we're talking about is just kind of making people more aware of what's going on in this space. I think, it's 2013, we've come a long way, but I think we still have very far to go, and I think for a lot of people that aren't people of color, that's like news to them. They're like, whoa, racism still exists? What are you talking about? And so kind of talking about these issues is a really great way to shape the conversation in a more positive direction so that we can educate people about these issues, and hopefully kind of strengthen the community so that we can kind of squash these negative things, and we can hopefully kind of change some opinions. And that's what's really cool about social media, is that it gives us a chance to change the conversation and show a multitude of different types of people of color that are representing themselves in really smart and interesting ways. So I'm excited to be a part of that conversation, and hopefully this will help inspire people to kind of come up with some ways to combat these issues online.
And so, thinking of YouTube specifically, which you're talking about, so what are some of the issues, like, specific to YouTube as a channel that kind of bring all these, like, hello, it's 2012 or 2013,
well, I think on YouTube, because it is a visual social platform, if you're a blogger, you can be anonymous. People don't have to know about your background, and so you can kind of shield yourself in that light. But on YouTube, it's video, so you see me and you see that I'm a black woman with dreadlocks, and people are going to form their own assumptions based on that. And I don't necessarily know why the YouTube community is so just negative and nasty. I think it was Wired a few years ago named YouTube like the worst place for comments on the web, and they are pretty bad. And I'm not sure what it is. I'm definitely sure that anonymity has a large part to do with it, but I do think like the visual aspect of YouTube just lends itself to a lot of negativity as well.
And so, what kind of things, I guess, it's kind of double-edged because it's Google's property. YouTube's Google. So it's not a lot of things that we can do with it other than as individually advocating or interacting.
It could definitely be squashed. It could be, but I think that Google's in a tough position because as horrible as racism is, it's not illegal, and everyone is entitled to free speech and to their own opinion. And as long as you aren't threatening someone's well-being, I don't really necessarily know that there's much that Google can do. I know that they discourage hate speech and they discourage harassment, but YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world behind Google, and there are thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of videos being uploaded every second, and it's really hard to police all of that content and all of those users. So on one hand, I understand that it's really difficult, but I think that there could be some things done to discourage some of the negativity on YouTube, and not just in terms of racism, but there's a lot of like homophobic hate speech and sexism going on, and people that just want to be negative and nasty. And I think that there are some steps that can be taken, and I really hope that talking about this stuff again will encourage YouTube to look at it more critically and come up with some ways to fix these issues. But I know they can't be perfect and they can't fix everything, and at the end of the day, again, it's not illegal to have these thoughts. So I can sympathize on one hand, but it is a tough position for them to be in.
So what does it say about us as a culture? You brought up a great point. YouTube is the second most powerful search engine, and yet it is a
cesspool.
I didn't say that, but I wouldn't agree with you.
I said it.
So what does that mean? What does it mean for us?
I don't know. I mean, again, I think we are a very visual culture, and it's very easy to look up music or look up news clips or bloggers or just performances, TV shows. I mean, there's just so much at your disposal on YouTube. Again, I'm still not sure why it's so bad there. I'm involved in a lot of social platforms, and I've never Facebook, Tumblr, LiveJournal, MySpace, Twitter, Pinterest. I've never experienced the vitriol that I get on YouTube on any of those platforms, and again, I'm not sure why it's more concentrated there, but I don't know. It's very strange, and I hope that talking about it will help us move to a place where we can kind of get past it and hopefully make it a more welcoming platform for people of all different backgrounds.
Final question. So for folks, okay, who are producing content, and they have, and this video itself will go on YouTube as part of, the blogging project that I'm part of. So there always is that hesitation. What are tips for folks like me or any content producers, especially people of color, to put stuff out there?
So I think the first thing that is really hard to understand when you first post on YouTube is that those negative comments, whether they be racist or just negative and nasty, they're just a part of the process and a part of the platform. I tell people you're not special. Everyone gets it. Even if you have 1 million views or you have 1 view, you're always going to get those nasty comments. And you kind of have to go into it and decide what your response is going to be. You're either going to block and delete immediately, or you're going to respond. Come up with what your strategy is going to be, because those negative comments, unfortunately, no matter how talented and amazing your content is, they are going to come. If you're a person of color, or you're not, or you're LGBT, or you are disabled, or no matter what background you are, especially if you are a minority, like, you kind of just have to be mentally prepared for that. You can't take it personally. I think that the people that revel in being trolls and saying these nasty things, it really says more about them than it says about you. These are people that most likely, I can only assume, have things going on in their offline personal lives that make them go online and attack other people, because people that are happy in their real lives don't go online and attack and say nasty things about other people. And so if you keep that in mind, I think it makes it a little bit easier to let that stuff roll off your shoulder. And honestly, like, the best advice I can give is just don't feed the trolls. Just don't feed them. If you ignore them, they get bored with you and they go away. If you just block them and don't respond, it's the smartest, easiest thing to do. And I say easy, but it is hard. Like, you want to stand up for yourself. You don't want people to say nasty things to you. But just try not to indulge it, because at the end of the day, like, what they want is a response from you. And if you don't give it to them, they move on and they go somewhere else.